Oh, thank you very much, Lyle. It makes me sound like a bit of a secret agent there. And a big thanks to Sophie as well, and for the Australian Coalition for Marriage for inviting me down to Australia so that I can play a very small part in your very worthwhile campaign. As I said, we lost the campaign, as Lyle told us there, but it wasn't as bad as you might think. The end result was 38% who voted no and 62% who voted yes. Now, on the size of it, that was a poor result, but you have to remember some of the things that were involved in that campaign. I'm just listening in wonder tonight to the wonderful ministers, senators, members of parliament that you have on your side. That was not the case in Ireland. In Ireland, every political party had a strict whip. They would not allow any political representative to speak on the no side. Not one of them was allowed to speak in favour of marriage as we know it, with one man and one woman. Out of 166 members of our parliament, one independent MP was all we had on our side. So that was the scale of the battle that we were facing. We were also against the organs of the state, like the police. My granddad was a policeman, a police sergeant once upon a time, and he had to stop going to a pub because the landlord became a councillor, and that was seen as being politically biased. But what happened in Ireland was the police were heavily involved in the Yes campaign. They were at voting drives to register people. They ignored the criminality against our campaign, and even their trade union came out, unprecedented activity, and said that they were voting, they recommended a yes vote for redefining marriage. We were also outspent by 20-1 with money coming in from overseas. You're seeing something like that over here as well, with millionaires thinking that they can buy the votes of you Australians. I don't think that's right, but you know, that's the law of the land here. But again, in Ireland, as I said, we were hugely outspent. But you don't hear about the other countries that where there's been marriage referendums. How many of you here know that Slovenia, Slovakia, Croatia, Bermuda have all had referendums on a same-sex marriage and have all voted to protect one man, one woman marriage? Now, I won't pretend it was an easy campaign for me personally. I was standing up and speaking out for what I believe in, as I've always done. And I lost good friends during it because they took the opposite side. But then I grew up in Ireland in the days of the 1970s and the 1980s, when it was difficult to be a gay man. And I was bullied, and I know what it's like to be bullied and to be name-called. And you know what they say about what doesn't kill you makes you stronger? Well, I'm here and stronger. And I've seen the same name-calling and bullying start here in Australia. And I think that's a shameful tactic to use in a free democracy. It really, really is. I know referendums can be divisive, but there's no excuse for personal attacks. We have a phrase in Ireland, you play the ball but not the man. You can play against people's ideas, you can challenge their policies, but you don't play personal attacks, you don't try to get them sacked from their jobs, and you don't call them liars when they're standing up for the rights of their children. And I would ask, I know that there's some very good people on the other side, but I would ask them to have a think when they say things like that they see hatred and bigotry and homophobia on the other side. That is a nonsense. The people who are standing here tonight, if there was a vote tomorrow on redefining marriage in another way, they would also be campaigning for one man, one woman marriage. It is not a homophobic attack. And what I think is really, really hateful here is telling gay people that they are facing homophobia and that they're facing hatred, where it's not there. Because that breeds attitude that you can disrespect, you don't have to listen to your opponents, you can attack them, you can tell lies, all because you can dismiss them. They're all homophobes and bigots. But I ask people to look up the word bigot and see which side of this campaign it fits more easily. So you may ask, what has changed in Ireland in the 2 years and 2.5 years since we've redefined marriage? And, well, I have to say, in a way, not a lot. But that's not a good thing either. The bullying and the restriction on free speech that we saw then has now become institutionalized because the law has changed. I believe in civil partnerships. I don't believe in same-sex marriage. Indeed, I campaigned for civil partnerships because I think they're a better fit. But just because the law changed and what was legal and illegal changed, I still don't believe what's right and wrong changed. I don't believe what's good and bad changed. And I don't believe from my moral compass what's moral and immoral changed. But now I can no longer refer to same-sex marriage because I'm told there's one form of marriage in Ireland. And to even refer to same-sex marriage is a form of discrimination and hate speak. And then you've got to say, look at the way the language changes. I would always refer to a couple in a same-sex relationship as partners because that's how I see it. But I'm told now I must refer to them as husband and wife and wife. If I don't, and this is coming, believe me, this is coming, because it's in the papers all over Ireland and in the UK and the US. If you use partners, you're told that that also is hate speech, and you're still got internalized homophobia in my case. The first time I heard internalized homophobia, I thought it was something you got after a bad kebab. But you see, these attacks on free speech and these telling you what you can and what you cannot say, as a gay man, it grates with me. Because for years, I and other gay people stood up and we said things that were uncomfortable for other people to hear. Even saying that we were equal was uncomfortable. In Ireland, in the 1990s, when I helped organize pride parades, standing out in the street saying, I'm here, I'm queer, I'm not going away, was seen as being an abuse of free speech and offensive to some people. So why now are gay people and gay lobbyists trying to stop free speech? And that's what will follow when marriage is redefined. So what else should you consider? You have got safe schools. It's been mentioned here several times. Some very, very radical gender theory. We're lucky because we don't face that threat because 96% of our schools have a religious ethos. But there is already an eroding of the parental rights in our legislation creeping in, and you have got a foresight as to what that will include because you've already got a taster of safe schools, which hopefully you can keep on the run by not voting for same-sex marriage. We also have an awful lot of another change in Ireland is the lack of political debate on these issues. Within 3 months of us redefining marriage or voting to redefine marriage, we introduced a gender recognition bill. This allows anybody who has gender dysphoria to claim to be a person of the opposite sex, and at the moment it needs parental parental support if you're 16 to 18, and after 18 you can do it on your own volition. But there's no psychiatric evaluation involved, and after 3 years saying that you are a person of the opposite sex, you can destroy your true birth cert and have a new one issued. You see, that is the danger. When you remove gender from something as fundamental as marriage, gender becomes less and less important, and it becomes so unimportant that you can't even identify anymore, and gender fluidity becomes the case. And there's now moves in Ireland to bring that threshold for parents down to 4 years of age. So a 4 years of age child can put pressure on their parents that they want to be redesigned and go to be recognized as a person of the opposite sex. Many people in Ireland see the Catholic Church as being hugely influential, and I know a lot of you here are people of faith. I'm not, I'm an agnostic. But in the last 20 years, the Irish Catholic Church has lost its influence. And so, because we've had various scandals, and they became involved in some political referendums in the past and were on the losing side. But nowadays, they have no influence. So when you think of Ireland as being as it's being portrayed here as this old-fashioned very old-fashioned Catholic-dominated country. It is not that kind of country anymore. In fact, on the liberal conservative axis, we would be more aligned to Scandinavia. So that's a lie that you will often hear. So I will say this in closing. Redefining marriage opens a door that doesn't need to be opened. I believe in civil partnerships. They're a better option for recognizing same-sex couples. We often hear in Ireland and in Europe about respecting diversity. And there is huge diversity between the relationship that a man forms with a man and a man forms with a woman. And I don't believe in this one-size-fits-all legal model of it's marriage or nothing. Civil partnerships can give the same rights and they respect diversity. So I'm asking you here in the room to go out, talk to the people you're working with and that you are meeting day in, day out. Say, I'm voting no. It's okay to vote no.